So I'll ask the questions, just look at me, just don't speak over each other. So, start with an easy one. Dan, give me your name and spell it.
My name is Daniel Miller. First name is Daniel, Daniel, Miller, Miller.
Logan?
Loyd,
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, Loyd Logan.
Loyd Logan, Loyd, Miller initial, Logan.
All right, so,
You're fine.
so you guys dealt with the integration before most of your teammates are running track, correct? You guys ran track the year before with Frederick, is that correct?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. How was that? Were you when Coach Wild came and recruited you, the two of you, to come in?
Well, it was a good experience for us, actually. But I ran track previously down in Texas, and I always did love track. So when he came, that was a good opportunity for me to actually run, which was a very part of what I wanted to do. I recruited Logan to come with me. We made agreement with each other. If he ran track, then I would sing in the chorus with him. So that was the agreement we made, and it turned out real well.
You agree?
Yeah, but I wasn't the first, I ran in 57, the spring of 57. I didn't run in 56, that was Dan Miller and Holliston that ran that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ran the last year.
So you had a great story you were telling us last night about Dan got beat barely, and you're like, I'm not going to run. What was that story?
Well, we all qualified, and I had qualified in the 220. We went to the state 220. And they had what you ran in heats, and they took the first two, and then, made up the final heat. And Dan and a young man from Durant, they was running together, and they was hooked up pretty good coming down, and he just barely beat Dan. Dan looked over his shoulder to see where he was, and he stuck his chest out and broke the tape. And so he won that heat. And so the second heat, I think Hollis Jones was in that heat, and I was in the third one. and after I seen what had happened, I decided it wasn't no use of me running, because wasn't no way. And they called me 3 times, but I didn't, so I scratched. And of course, Dean Wild asked me why didn't I run? And I told him it wasn't gonna be no use. And so that was, I didn't run in it, but I ran in the relay. We also qualified in the relay.
How'd you do in state? In the finals?
Well, in the finals in the 100 meters, I think they took that race from me. Actually, I actually won that race.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, it was an article in the Oklahoma paper about that race, which, they gave it to another guy.
Disqualified you?
Was that?
Did they disqualify you?
No, they just took the race.
So you crossed the finish line first.
Yes.
They give you second place?
Yes. And our relay team, I think we got second place in that relay team, wasn't it?
No, we went first, I think.
Yeah.
Because the young man got a Charlie Hawk.
Yeah.
Got one that stuck on legs. I think he got a Charlie Hawk or something.
But we very seldom lost the relay race all year.
Tell me about your relationship to Coach Lee, Boyd's coach. How was that? Well, you played with him longer.
Me? Oh, Coach Lee, he was the kind of a character builder, and he's a young guy, young man that came to Frederick at a young age and coached us, and so I started playing with him in 1953. So I started playing with Coach Lee, and just basically he was a builder and building character and different things like that. And he likes to win, and we would get games where we could. We ended up playing schools a whole lot bigger than we were. And we used to play Lubbock. We would meet Lubbock in Abilene, and they would present trophies there. And I think that's about just 2 years we won the trophy there. And that basically when he found out that we were going to be going to play with the Bombers, he just really told us that you can't go over there and be good. You got to be the best. And that's what he emphasized.
Was it tough to leave him behind though? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much so.
Yeah.
I learned a lot under Coach Lee because, like I told you before, I had never played football before, and he helped me out a lot. He used to scream at me a lot too, saying he'll send me back to Texarkana.
let's go back to what was it like in the '50s here, and I guess Logan more so since you were here. What was it, yeah, growing up here in Frederick.
Well, it was pretty well. It was a segregated town, and we lived in Ward 3, and basically that's about what we knew. We had a boundary of the Highway 5 and then the railroad track, so we lived in a small area in there, and of course that was quite a big thing that we were denied of and different things, but. There was a few people that worked across town, but my grandma was one that worked for a lawyer, the blacks and stuff like that. They would come across town, but we basically didn't come across the railroad track, as we would say. And we had just about everything that we needed was in our ward. We had stores, little storefronts, and back then we had people that had a little washateer, where they allowed people to come in and wash and stuff like that, and cafes. We had just about everything that we needed on that side because of the condition that our parents didn't want us to be exposed to some things. And so that's how basically we grew up in our schools and things. And I guess then finally I think it broke that where they let us come over and go to the picture show, the Ramona, or something like that. But we had to wait until after, everybody else, then they would let us come and we go upstairs and sit up there. And so it was a small, typical segregated town back in those days.
What about the school? Because how did your friends, girlfriends feel when you would leave at the end of a school day and go to Frederick to go practice or play? How did your friends feel about that? Or your families as well?
They was behind it. I don't know, somehow they accepted that what we were doing, it was something that couldn't be helped. If we had a choice of staying at Boyd or coming to Frederick, I don't know if they would like that or not, but since they took the choice away, there was nothing, and then they really wanted to make sure that we did the best that we could do. And we felt like we were representing Ward 3, and we felt most like we were representing Boyd High. And that was what was driving us a lot, that we was representing Boyd High.
Tell me, Coach Wild, what kind of man was he? Or coach, what kind of coach was he?
Well, I thought he was a very fair man as far as your performance on the football field. He gave you a fair chance, fair shot. And if he hadn't, we would have been starting, in the backfield on the line. We had a right tackle and a right guard that was black. We had an end that was black. We had two halfbacks. So we had a fair shot at starting.
Did you think you would get that fair shot when your first practice walking over here to Frederick?
I don't know about Lloyd, but it actually didn't cross my mind whether, we figure we get a fair shot, but usually football is football. You know, if you can play, you normally get to play.
Do you feel the same way?
Well, yeah, and we didn't know the talent that they had over here. But as I say, we was always told, do your best. And so that's what we came over here to do our best. And evidently our best let us, get those positions because they wanted to win. And it was kind of unusual because there was other integrated teams in Oklahoma at that time. But you might find one black start and then you might not find. So for us to get that many to start, right off the bat without growing into it, it was unusual.
Yeah. How tough are practices?
They weren't, to me, they weren't that bad because, we break off and do different things. And I think it's more of bringing the talents together. I think that was the key thing. Because it wasn't on my part, it wasn't a whole lot of training that he had to do. We was well trained when we came over here.
Yeah. Dan?
Oh, I can remember one incident where he put in a play where you go in motion, and you run the play, and he said, take your time, go in motion. I go and start in motion, and he'd always call the play before I would get through there. And I kept saying, run it again, and I never did speed it up. So he told me to go somewhere. He put me off the football field, and we was getting ready to play a championship game almost. So I went on to the bus, and I waited till the practice was over. We went on to the locker room, and then finally in the locker room, he called me to his office, talked to him, and told me to come on, let's go play. It's a good thing we did too, because we barely won that game. But it was kind of funny. That was my fault, actually. I could have speeded it up, but he said slow it down. I had it in my mind, you got to take it slow.
Break it there. And then start it. Good?
Yeah.
So, going, you guys played Lawton first, one of your scrimmages, and they beat you. How did, was that kind of, they were a different division, was that to be expected, or, what did you get, any thoughts on that game? Or if you remember it?
I can't.
Well,
Go ahead.
well, we know that actually supposedly it was a higher grade above us, actually, because it's a bigger school and more people, students and what have you. So we kind of expected that it would be a difficult game. And a scrimmage, it's hard to tell exactly what's going on in the scrimmage, But they had a great, I think he played fullback named Ronnie Hartline. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but he was a cold-blooded guy. And they kind of knocked us around, maybe, I guess.
They got you prepared.
Yes, yes.
You guys started both ways, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
That was a rule during that time. Though in that era, you had to play offense and defense.
So when you're in practice, how did that work? So you'd be on offense, you go against the second team, and then when you're on defense, you'd be go against the second team offense. Is that how it worked when you were scrimmaging your team?
Well, we didn't scrimmage.
We sure did.
Oh, you didn't
No,
didn't
we-
scrimmage in practice? It was just
We did one time. That was when we first came over.
Yeah.
And
And we had some scrimmage throughout. First, we had some scrimmage with other teams, several other teams. Like Loudon was one of them. El Reno was one. I can't remember some of the others that we had scrimmage against. Yeah.
wow. So Coach Wild, did he called the plays, or did Ouija call them, or did you guys come in and say, just give me the ball and get out of the way type thing?
I don't remember who, actually, I don't know if Dean called in the plays from the side. I don't think he called all the plays. I believe Weezy called the plays. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
But I believe, I know that Dean Wild called some of the plays, further on down in the game. He did.
But did you ever say, "Give me the ball"? Like,
No.
or
No,
I can do, you
no,
know,
no.
I'm faster than these guys. I know I am.
No, sir.
One game you guys rotated. It was all white, then all black. I guess a series. I don't know if it was. I guess it was every other series, and then you guys scored. I mean, it was. Do you guys remember that game?
Grandfield.
Yeah, go ahead and
Yeah.
tell that.
That was Grandfield. That was the one we played that they had made the remarks that they couldn't beat two schools. And of course, I guess Gene Wilder being over there hearing all the remarks, and we was out playing, and when we got the ball, next thing I know, just all of us was out there, but we didn't have a center. And I didn't know what was going on, so we went on and scored. And then when they got it, we played defense and stopped them. And then Dean Wilder took us all out and then sent all Weechnam in there. So we really still didn't know what was going on. And they went down and scored, and then they played defense. And then Lynn Dean sent us all back out there like we supposed to, went, playing together. And I think on the end, I remember that we were going, leaving the stadium, going to the bus, and one of the fans hollered about we can't beat two teams, and I think that's when Dean made the remarks that I should have let them beat you 100-0. So that was kind of funny. We laughed about that. And so again, that was one of those places we had to dress here in Frederick and ride over there.
Yeah, so you guys had to go in here, get all dressed up, and then ride.
Yeah, get dressed as rides.
Yeah.
I think 2 or 3 places that we went, they wouldn't allow us to dress, and they dressed in.
And then meals as well. If
Yeah.
everyone couldn't eat together, then no one ate.
Yeah, no, we was a sticker about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, one place in particular I can remember was Temple at where they come back home. And that's the first time I heard anything like that from the sideline when the guy said, asked where was we gonna eat? And he said, I bet they don't eat here, so. Well,
Do you think, it was times, but do you think it could have been, you guys beat these teams 70-0. We're not gonna let these guys eat here. Do you think that might have had something to do with it as well?
Snyder?
Mm-hmm.
Nah, that was about 19 miles up the road, so it wasn't no problem coming back home.
Yeah.
Nah, we didn't even try to eat that.
Did he ever go to the, if he couldn't find a spot, would he go to the grocery and buy some bread and some ham and things, or you guys just had to go home after the game if you couldn't? Do you remember?
no, I don't remember that happening. Because usually Dean was pretty good at getting things happen, make things happen his way, He ran across a lot of that because he talked about on that tape. He talked about it that we wasn't aware of actually at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But he was pretty good at taking care of business that way.
Describe these bus rides. I heard you guys had a lot of fun on these bus rides, singing and just really bonded on these. Can you describe that, Logan?
Basically, they was back kind of in the back, Pete and all that bunch back in there, so they would be the one that carried on all that. My mind was on who was playing,
Yeah.
so, but they was, they had the time to do a lot of that, and they kept the morale up and the singing and different things, so.
Yeah, 'cause I can't remember a lot of that.
Yeah, so they would do that. Most time, I know as when I was growing up, we just really focus on who was gonna be playing.
Mm-hmm.
And,
As far as music, though, what kind of music did you all listen to? Gospel music?
back at the end,
Yeah.
we listened at Soul Train, different music. Matter of fact, I played in a little jazz band.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
yeah, played on the radio and different things like that. So we listened to the music that was out during those times. Dick Clark, what was that? Dick Clark was
American Bandstand.
Yeah, American Bandstand and stuff like that.
You guys have jobs during the season?
Pulling cotton.
So, did you do that, what, after practice, or on weekends, or what?
Before you went to practice.
Full practice.
Yeah. In our school, we went what you call split session. We would go to school all the way till June, and then they would let us out for a few weeks. And then we would go back in July, the last of July. And then they would let us out the end of August so that we can go out and, do the harvest and stuff like that. And so during that time, we were playing football also. Of course, we did the ones at Boyd. Of course, they would have their practice at night. So when we come in from the field, we would go to football practice because we did most of the night. But Frederick, here, they did it during the day. And so we had some of the people that would take us out to do this. Mr. Luther Brown, one in particular, he would bring us back to town so we could, make our practice. And we done that for a while until finally, I think, I went and told Coach Wild we couldn't keep taking off because we was helping our families, and that was by our way of getting our school clothes and stuff. And so that's when they hired us to go down and paint the ballpark.
Okay. So, but he still kept his practices during the day?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, we would leave there, like, practice 3, we would leave there around 2:30 and walk, over come over here to practice.
So you're out of the fields, but you got you painting? Is that correct?
Got, what now?
Yeah, so you, instead of picking cotton, then you're painting?
We painted.
Yeah,
yes.
painted,
Yes.
yeah.
You guys had some hot summers here too.
Had some hot
Ooh.
summers, and we didn't have the best air conditions over there at our school at that particular time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just adjust this microphone real quick. All right, thank you. Okay, we're going.
The state championship, there was the fight. How would, they really ganged up on LC from what I understand. Or they gang up on all of you?
Well, I didn't actually see the fight. Logan might be able to tell you what caused the fight, but I know I had ran a touchdown, a pretty long touchdown, and when I turned around and looked back up the field, it was a fight going on. So I run back up the field, I said, well, I want to help somebody, and a group of guys on Pete Clutch, and I started with Pete, and a guy drew the helmet back at me and said, don't you go over there. And I did. So Dean Wild was out fighting and whatever, trying to get him off of his players and what have you. But I don't know actually what caused the fight. But everybody said L.C. Perry, but I bet you Pete Clutch had something to do with it too. I guarantee you.
Yeah. Were you in the fight?
I didn't actually get in it. I was there, but they was, and like I said, I don't know who started. All I know they was going at it, and I think what was really funny, Dean Wild came out there, and he was trying to help pull the guys apart, and one of them hit Dean Wild. Next thing I know, he was swinging.
He was swinging.
That was kind of, we laughed about that a lot. And then they had, our fans was over on the bleachers, and they had a big tall fence,
Yeah.
wire fence, and a whole lot of them ripped their clothes and things. I was trying to go over this fence.
Is it a chain link fence?
It was kind of like,
Yeah.
kind of like a regular fence, but they had, wire on top. And Professor Thomas and them all, they was trying to come over it.
Yeah. After that, Dean Wild took his starters out the game, though, actually.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
but you guys are already up by so much.
Oh, yes, yeah.
It was over. If you could describe playing the 56 team in one word, how would you describe it?
Awesome.
I think as we based it, that it was unique.
What do you want people to remember about your team? Or know about your team?
Basically, now that I'm mature and, you know, now I've had a chance to, you know, live a little bit, I would want them to know that, that together, working together, regardless of who you are and where you come from, background you come from, it proves that you can be a winner.
That's great.
Well said.
Well, a couple other things. Religion. I mean, you guys, a lot of you become ministers from that. Was that something that was instilled in you growing up, or I know Coach Wild was a religious person as well. Is something that he brought to the table as well?
No, I was reared up in a Christian home. My grandfather, he was a minister, and my grandmother, she was a missionary. So I grew up kind of in a Christian environment. That doesn't mean I don't know Christian though.
Yeah, I think, is there any final, okay. You guys have any final thoughts that you'd like to add about the team?
Have any?
You know, well, what it did, it united us, seemed like for life. Because we and them and different things, whenever there's a call or whenever there's something going on, they comes. And I've had occasion where I've needed them to come and speak to my children and things, they will come. And I think you can see that we don't mind. And when we come together, it's just like we've been knowing each other, and we stayed next door to each other all the time. So it was a bonding that, you know, that I think is a lasting bonding. And when we see each other, we still know each other. We just, wife and my wife are real good friends, Oprah and Miss Logan. And he think he can boss my wife just like he is. You know, we was having dinner over here. No, you wasn't here. We was eating dinner, and over at Melissa. So me and him and all we was eating. He said, "Well, where's Uncle Neil?" I said, "She's at home." He said, "Well, she's gonna come down." I said, "No, I don't think so." He said, "I bet you will if I ask her." So he gets on the phone, call her. He get up and leave. 15 minutes later, here they both come in. So that's kind of, you know, kind of the thing that I think, take away from all this, that I wish we could bottle it up and sell it.
Yeah, it would be, it's a great thing. I mean,
Yeah.
you just see the camaraderie with
Yeah.
you guys, and, you know, you feel it when you're around everybody and talking to them.
Yeah, they some good guys, and no phony, ain't anything. And was that the Three Musketeers, one for all
Yeah,
and all
all
for
for
one?
one.
I think that was kind of and that way we was on the football field. That we had one common enemy, and they was on that other side.
Oh, yeah.
That's perfect, guys. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.